Hello everyone, my name is Jason, aka Bacon Chest, coach of the St Kilda Serperiors. Welcome to week 3 of the ICBA D-League Season 2. This week we're taking on Milotic Marolt and the Slovenia Slowbros. We weren't able to have a week 2 battle, just a bit of holiday time constraints. Our opponent wasn't able to make it online, and so I think we're getting a forfeit win for that. But moving into week 3, hoping to, obviously continue on our form from week 1, potentially end up 3-0, would be a really nice start and give us a real edge, and potentially, obviously push us towards a playoff run. But this week is not going to be an easy matchup. Our opponent has a really strong roster. So the Slovenia Slowbros have Zygarde 50%, Tapu Fini, Nihilego, Forfeit, Chesnaught, Smeargle, Regice, Raichu, Alakazam, Chandelure, and Mega Pidgeot, with Z users for them being Zygarde 50%, Chandelure, and Alakazam. Big threats when looking at this roster: Zygarde 50. Zygarde 50 at +1 just annihilates my team. I don't really have particularly good responses to it. The one thing I do have that tanks hits is Dhelmise, and Dhelmise can't really do that much back. So we're going to have to play around that thing relatively carefully. Fortunately, we do have, as you can see on our screen, Deoxys Speed. And Deoxys Speed outspeeds a +1 speed Zygarde. It also outspeeds a +1 speed basically anything on this roster. I think you'd have to run Scarf Alakazam to be able to outspeed me, which obviously Scarf Alakazam, not a great set. Max Speed Timid allows us to outspeed a Scarf Nihilego or a +1 speed Nihilego through, speed boost. Obviously if he's at +2, he's outspeeding us, but if he's at +2, I've got bigger problems, or he's Scarf and has gotten a +1 speed boost, in which case I'm kind of okay with that, because at that point we can tank a hit, because he hasn't had any kind of special attack boost. So yeah, pretty happy with the set. ICMZ Ice Beam is our only way to guarantee the OHKO on Zygarde. So this just makes us a guaranteed check for that. We can tank an E-Speed with relative ease, even after rocks, so that's pretty good. I think we even tank a +1, so like a choice, we definitely tank a choice banded E-Speed or a +1 Dragonlance D-Speed, so that's all good. Psyshock is Psyshock over Psychic, because Psyshock guarantees the OHKO on Nihilego, which is quite good. Shadow Ball, obviously, for Alakazam and Chandelure, and Hidden Power Fire for the Fortress. This thing can potentially clean up late game, or at least it can break holes in my opponent's team in a way that not much else can. The only thing it doesn't really deal well with is the not the Chandelure, the Tapu Fini. So we're going to have to find a way around that, but otherwise, this thing has a really good offensive matchup. I contemplated Calm Mind over either Shadow Ball or Hidden Power Fire, but I didn't necessarily think I'd have the chance to set up. But yeah, it was a bit of a risk in this matchup, because, he could bring a very offensive team, he could bring a much bulkier team, so yeah, we decided to go for the offense matchup a bit instead. Next up, we have, so that was Ridley, the Deoxys, after obviously the Alien franchise. We now have Nat Fife, captain of the Fremantle Dockers, who are an Australian football team. I'm actually not 100% sure he's captain. I'm going to look like a complete idiot if I'm wrong, but he's definitely their star player. Anyway, Nat Fife the Dhelmise, who is Assault Vest, max HP, almost max attack with a little bit of Speed F, Power Whip, Shadow Claw, Anchor Shot, Rapid Spin. Assault Vest allows us to be a check to a plethora of threats, so things like Tapu Fini, Nihilego, Chandelure, Mega Pidgeot, Alakazam, I think may have ways of KOing us, particularly with Z moves, but and if they're specs or something like that. But generally we can, in an emergency, maybe live a hit from those things. Power Whip OHKOs the Nihilego, so that's really good. Shadow Claw, obviously, for the Chandelure and the Alakazam, and Anchor Shot is really clutch for the Regice, which we can obviously tank a hit from with the Assault Vest, and we can just KO that thing back, so that's really good. Also, our best way of hitting Mega Pidgeot with the Steelworker ability, boosting that. Rapid Spin, pretty self-explanatory, gets rid of hazards. We do kind of need that in this game. Nihilego, Fortress, Smeargle. Smeargle in particular, setting up the sticky webs could be an issue. I'm not necessarily expecting to see. I'm expecting to see one of Smeagol or Fortress. Depends basically whether he wants a more defensive matchup, in which case he's going to bring Fortress. More offensive, he'll bring the Smeagol. But yeah, this thing can switch into Zygarde, and, you know, kind of forces it out because it's just kind of a bit of a neutral matchup for both mons. Because even, like, he can boost up as much. Like, the problem is he can kind of boost up on us, especially if he's Coil. So a Coil set could be an issue, but obviously a Coil set we can always check with Deoxys to some extent, so not as big of a threat maybe. Although, yeah, Coil would be a problem if he does get to, like, +2 or +3. Anyway, but yeah, this thing has a few roles in the team, just kind of a general Gloomon. We then have Firestorm, the Heatran, with a Sugar Berry, Taunt, Stealth Rock, Lava Plume, Earthquake. And you might be looking at my EV spread and the nature and thinking, Jason, why are you running a Sugar Berry when you're minus defense? Well, the reason for that is that the Sugar Berry is not there for Zygarde. Zygarde kills us through a Sugar Berry unless we're like max HP, max physical defense, and then even then I think plus 1000 arrows still kills us through a Sugar Berry. So not there for that. This is there for hidden power grounds from things like Mega Pidgeot. This is there to live. What else is this there for? You know what? I actually think this is there, and so maybe you're right to question this set, humble listener, because I'm fairly certain this was there with the impression that Nihilego got Earth Power, which it absolutely does not. But anyway, no, sorry, no, that's a lie. This was definitely there for Hidden Power from Nihilego, because even a Choice Specs Hidden Power Ground, I don't think kills us, I think was the idea. And obviously Earthquake KOs that back very easily, does a lot to Chandelure, Lava Plume, is there for the Fortress, the Chesnaught, and, you know, for potentially spreading burns around. It just makes it so the Zygarde can't as easily switch in on us, as long as the Misty Terrain isn't up. Taunt is there for the Tapu Fini, it's there for the Fortress, it's there for the Smeagol to stop them from setting up hazards. And rocks are there because if we can get Rock Chip off on Regice, if we can get Rock Chip off on Chandelure, even things like Nihilego and Tapu Fini, that can be really, really helpful for the late game. Speed is to outspeed a max speed timid Smeagol, I do believe. So yeah, that is the premise of that set. So, moving on, we've got our Drapion, Assault Vest, coming back again from week 1. Slightly different set this time. Ice Fang, obviously, for the Zygarde, does about 50%. Poison Jab for the Fini, Knockoff for the Chandelure and the Alakazam, and, you know, like most things. And then Earthquake is there for the Chandelure, Raichu, and Nihilego is the other thing, obviously. Because, yeah, this thing can really stop Nihilego in its tracks. It can stop Fini in its tracks. Obviously, it is setup bait for Zygarde, even, you know, with Ice Fang. It's still only doing about 50, and obviously Zygarde outspeeds me even before its boost. So, yeah. If he is set up Zygarde, that's a bit of a problem. Even if he's not, if he's banded, that's a bit of a problem for this thing. But it was just so necessary with the special attackers. And I mean, that's a sign of a well-built team, right? Where, like, the thing that I can bring that's a really good response to all these special attackers is bait for his best physically offensive mon. So, you know, not much we could really do about that. We just had to bring this set. Black Canary, the Meloetta coming back, Life Orb set, Psyshock, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Calm Mind. This is here to punch holes. It doesn't need any speed, so I'm able to run a lot of HP, which means we can tank hits. We can do things like tank hits from Nihilego, we can tank hits from Mega Pidgeot, is actually a really important one here, and we can actually set up on those things, and set up to +1, and then we get kills, like get 1 kill, potentially get a 2nd kill, depending on what else he brings, or at least force something in that I can then take advantage of with one of my other mons. So yeah, really good. Psyshock obviously for Nihilego, Thunderbolt for the Mega Pidgeot and the Tapu Fini, and Dazzling Gleam is there for the Zygarde. Really, really good offensive matchup. I'm really liking Meloetta. I'm looking forward to using it as the season goes on. And then finally, Choice Scarf Garchomp. This is here as a response to +1 Zygarde. Because obviously we guaranteed outspeed with our Jolly 200 speed nature. Jolly nature 200 speed, I should say. And we can just kill him with Outrage. If he's taken a bit of chip, we can kill him with Dragon Claw, which would be better, obviously, for not, like, giving him the free switch into Fini. Earthquake does a fair chunk to Fini, and Flamethrower is there for the Fortress, if it's, you know, Garchomp versus just Fortress late game. So, That's it. Let's move into the match. So, we see that my opponent decides to bring Nihilego, Mega Pidgeot, Zygarde, Regice, Tapu Fini, Fortress, and not great in terms of our predictions this time. Obviously, like, I was expecting the Zygarde, I was expecting the Mega Pidgeot, I was expecting the Tapu Fini, and then the Nihilego, yeah, I was kind of also expecting, but then the Regice and the Fortress is the more defensive side of that team, and so it's going to be a little bit harder to break down this team. Particularly, I'm now expecting to see really defensive Fini. I'm expecting probably either a Choice Band or maybe a Coil Zygarde. And then, you know, the other two are just big offensive special attackers there to kind of break down my team. And, you know, potentially sweep late game. I'm maybe expecting, like, Scarf Nihilego to try and sweep late game. I just lead off with Heatran because it has a really good matchup against everything except for Zygarde. And I just don't expect him to lead Zygarde, because obviously I could have, like, I'm kind of thinking he'll look at my team and see Deoxys and think maybe Spike Stack. And, you know, Spike Stack with Ice Beam would be a real problem for Zygarde, so yeah, I decided to lead off with Heatran, try and get my rocks up, stop him from getting hazards up with Fortress or Nihilego. Unfortunately, he does lead off with the Zygarde, so we're just like, well, let's get straight out of here. I decide to switch into my Garchomp, and the reason for that is that I know he's not going to click Outrage on turn 1 against a Heatran. That's just, like, that would just be a ludicrously good play. Well, no, it would be a bad play. Like, objectively, it would be a bad play, unless you know exactly what my sets are. And I know that I can take 1,000 arrows. And so, if he's not banded, we don't get too carried here. He is banded, so I now know that that's what his set is. That makes this thing a lot easier to deal with. And yeah, I can now threaten him out. I'm just going to click the Earthquake, because, again, there's no way on turn 2 you stay in to take the Dragon move. And because he now knows that I know that he is banded. You know, obviously at that point, I could have been banded myself, I could be Life Orb, I could be set up, you know, anything. And so I wasn't expecting him to stay in. So we're able to do 40% to the Tapu Fini, which is reasonable damage, and yeah, that's fine. So we switch out into Meloetta. I decide to go for the more aggressive switch, as he actually doubles into Pidgeot. That's great, because obviously this is my response to Pidgeot. So I'm just going to click Calm Mind, knowing that I can tank a hit from this thing, and if he does decide to switch out, after a Calm Mind, we're just, like, destroying most of his team. He decides to stay in. I'm kind of expecting the U-turn here, but he does click the Hurricane, which does 42%, which is quite a bit, but after a Calm Mind, we're going to easily live another one of those, and now, no matter what his spread, we kill him with T-Bolt, which wasn't the case before the Calm Mind, if he'd been running a reasonable amount of bulk, which, you know, potentially is, depending on what he decided to speed creep. The other thing was that instead of clicking T-Bolt, we were now able to click Psyshock, which meant that he couldn't, like, try and predict around that with Zygarde, so that was really good. We're able to get rid of that, and we're at 21% now as he brings out the Nihilego. And I looked at the calcs, and I'm like, look, he has to click Sludge Wave to kill me. Sludge Bomb and Power Gem are both a roll, so I'm just going to stay in here. This thing doesn't have a huge amount of utility late game, and if I can get rid of this Nihilego, that really, really opens the door, because that's his two big special attackers gone, and then we're just dealing, you know, with his sort of less powerful, less immediately powerful mons, aside from Zygarde. So he clicks the Power Gem, we're able to live that with 2%. I think, assuming he's the set that I calced at the time, which I can't remember exactly what that was, but I had some assumptions about what his set was, an absolute max roll would have killed us, but he does not get an absolute max roll, and so we're able to live, take that thing down with a Psyshock, and yeah, that puts us in a great position. We're 6-5 up, Canary goes down to the Life Orb recoil, which is a bit annoying, but, you know, like, it is what it is. As he brings out the Regice, as we go for Deoxys, I thought the Deoxys had... Oh, yeah, the main reason I brought out Deoxys was just because it beats Zygarde. Like, that was the entire reason, is that I was worried he was just going to bring out Zygarde and pick up a kill if I went to pretty much anything else. But he's able to go the Regice, which is pretty smart, as I am forced to go into Heatran as he clicks the Thunder Wave, which, okay, cool, I'm not too worried about that. This Heatran does not need its speed anymore, because it needed it for Smeagol, which isn't here. It'll still outspeed Ferrothorn, not Ferrothorn, Fortress, and as we'll actually see now, Oh no, not now. But as we'll see, spoilers, later in the game, it still outspeeds the Regice because I did run a lot of speed on it. We're able to click rocks there though, which is actually quite good because that means that Regice is coming in and going to be weakened. We can get a bit of chip on the Fortress to get rid of its sturdy. Yeah, but he is able to bring in the Zygarde. We just go to Dhelmise because Dhelmise now doesn't really have a function outside of just checking this Zygarde. As we click... oh no, yeah, we double out to Heatran here. So we're getting our predictions reasonably well at the moment. Yeah, we double out to Heatran, knowing Zygarde's not going to stay in to click 1,000 arrows on Dhelmise. So yeah, this gives us a free Lava Plume, I believe. I want to say. Oh yeah, I think I clicked Lava Plume there, which obviously we get paralyzed. Doesn't really matter. Would have done 2/5 of Bugger All to Tapu Fini. As we're forced to switch out because, you know, we can't really do anything to this thing, as he's able to click Defog, but that's okay because we now have Drapion in. This is a pretty free Poison Jab. As we actually, oh yeah, that's right, I actually decided to go for Knockoff there. Yeah, no, it was a much freer Knockoff than it was a free Poison Jab, because obviously Tapu Fini's not really doing much to us. Can't Scald Burn because of its own Misty Terrain, and yeah, Knockoff's going to be able to get rid of the Choice Band off the Zygarde, it's going to be able to get rid of his lefties off of Fini, break Fortress's Sturdy, and get rid of any item, any shenanigans off of the Regice. And so yeah, we're able to get rid of that Choice Band, we get a crit, it does make a little bit of difference, because now we can potentially kill him with Ice Fang. But yeah, we're once again going to go out into Dhelmise, and I see that he does 20% here, which means he can kill us with Outrage right now, and I'm kind of half expecting him to click it, just because, you know, this thing doesn't have a huge, like, if he can break that down, I don't really have a good way of revenging him outside of no, like, Outrage wouldn't have been a great play here, so I don't know why I was predicting it. I just kind of was like, oh, he could potentially kill me with Outrage, so he might actually go for it. So I clicked Power Whip here, that was a bad play, as the Fortress switch was reasonably obvious, and now we're kind of stuck having to click Shadow Claw on the Fortress. That was actually a pretty good play on my part there, because I kind of knew he would click Volt Switch there, although possibly in that case I should have gone out into Garchomp. But, you know, I was kind of like, well, this is the mid-ground play where Fortress can't really do anything to me, and we can potentially get a bit more chip off onto it. So he clicks the Volt Switch, now goes out into the Regice, and I live this hit and get frozen, and that is just terrible. If he was a really offensive Regice, then we didn't live that hit. So I was potentially sacking this thing, but I didn't think he would be. I thought he would be some kind of defensive set that would be built to take specific hits from something on my team. I feel like that's why you bring a Regice, unless you're trying to run setup, in which case, you know, if he was trying to set up on me, then I would have killed him with Anchor Shot. We definitely do like 90+% with an Anchor Shot, pretty much no matter what his set is. And so that's just really upsetting, as we get frozen, stay frozen, and now this game's looking a little bit less easy than it was for those first, like, 16 turns, because we had been really controlling the momentum, but now without Dhelmise, we no longer have our response to Zygarde, and this Regice is now a lot harder to kill. So yeah, I bring out Heatran because I can just click Lava Plumes on this thing. As you can see, it only does 31%, which means that he's very, very defensive. Specifically, that means I think he has quite a bit of Spadef. As he clicks HP Ground, we eat our Sugar Berry. We're not taking anything from that. We can still take another one of those, and we still outspeed, so that's great. As I just decide to get my rocks back up because I didn't expect him to stay in there, and this way I kind of basically either forced Tapu Fini to defog, or if he had stayed in, then we've got the rocks up, and we can still get off another Lava Plume hit on that thing. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty no drawback play, because we now get free Drapion as he goes for a sub, and I'm just going to Poison Jab here to break the sub, obviously, because we need to get rid of this thing, as he is able to get a free defog, so, you know, Substitute really helping him out there. As I now kind of predict him to go into Zygarde on my Poison Jab, but he actually decides to sub again. So we're getting a little bit played now. We're kind of like getting a bit frustrated by the fact that we've lost our Dhelmise through the freeze, as he's now able to get Moonblast damage off on Drapion, which doesn't really make any difference, to be honest. It's like, Regice is still not killing me, Fortress is still not killing me, Zygarde was still killing me, so it did make a huge difference. As I'm forced to go for Poison Jab there, just because I couldn't risk him clicking sub again, getting more chip damage off on me, and potentially putting me in range of Regice. But this time I'm able to correctly predict the Volt Switch from the Fortress, and this gives us a very, very free Earthquake, because Fortress can't really do anything to us, and he's not going to stay in with it. So that's good. We're able to get rid of the Tapu Fini, because we can click Earthquake. We don't quite kill him, but he's not going to keep a Tapu Fini at 11%, and as I just said, he doesn't really have good switch into Earthquake at this point, so we're able to get rid of that thing. So that's good. We've got this back to 4-3. So I decided to go back out into Drapion because it's a reasonable switch into this thing. As you can see, I take about 23%. That's fine. He goes out into Zygarde, as I really should have predicted the Zygarde here, because he needed that Regice. It was his only way of trying to win this game. And so I really should have just gone for the Ice Fang. It couldn't have 2-hit KO'd me anyway with anything, so yeah, look, did not play this endgame as well as I could have. Instead we click Knockoff, which unfortunately gives Zygarde a free kill, because I just don't have a switch in at this point. I could have gone Garchomp, but after 1,000 arrows, Garchomp then dies to Extreme Speed. Because I've already knocked off his Choice Band, he can switch up moves. So I go out to Deoxys here. This is a very free, what did I go for? Oh, I just went for, just an Ice Beam, because I don't need to Sub-Zero Slammer at this point, because Zygarde still dies to a, standard Ice Beam, because I've chipped away at it so much. As I now go for the Psyshock, because I've determined that he's incredibly specially defensive, so actually it'll do more than hit Power Fire. As he clicks the T-Wave, and I'm like, cool, I mean, that's fine, I'm still going to outspeed you, so I should just be able to 2-hit KO this thing. We'll still outspeed Fortress, so we can keep this around to HP Fire the Fortress later. In fact, yeah, we probably don't outspeed Zygarde, unless he's like min, which he could be min speed. I can't remember if I calced to see if he was max HP, max attack. Because if he's max HP, max attack adamant, I'm fairly certain we actually still outspeed him, even with a para. We get parried there, a little bit annoying. He's able to get off 50% with the Ice Beam. But I'm just like, that's alright. We can still potentially kill this thing. No, we can't. We do bugger all. But I'm like, oh, no, awesome, cool. He still, like, he gets a low roll on the second Ice Beam, which, you know, allows us the chance to make up for it, and we get parried. So that's really frustrating, because the reason why that is bad is because at this point, it's now 3-2 in his favor, which gives him switch advantage. Because obviously, whatever I bring out is going to kill Regice at this point. But had I been able to kill Regice and then force him to bring out one of Fortress and Zygarde, which obviously has to be Zygarde, because Fortress is just going to take a Hidden Power Fire and be at functionally 0 health, at which point Garchomp cleans up the game. So forcing him to bring out Zygarde, he then, you know, kills me with Extreme Speed, which then allows me to bring out Garchomp, but pertinently have Heatran in the back to switch in to Fortress, which would have allowed me at this point to be a lot more free with my what I predict to happen in terms of what move I click with Garchomp. So instead, I'm forced to bring out Heatran, and basically that's game, because I get parried here just to like rub salt into the wound as he clicks the Hidden Power. But we are able to get rid of this Regice, finally. It should have been gone, like, 20 turns earlier, when it froze my Dhelmise. But yeah, he's now able to bring out the Zygarde, kill me, and instead of me having the switch advantage, it's now him with the switch advantage, because he's still got the Fortress in the back. Clicks E-Speed, yeah, it doesn't matter. I can just click Earthquake at this point, but it's just not going to be enough. Unless he literally doesn't have Gyro Ball and has absolutely nothing to hit my Garchomp with, then this is game, because that's only going to do about 30%, as, yeah, Fortress is able to kill me off with the Gyro Ball. But yeah, you can see there that had we had the switch advantage, potentially been able to get off an additional hit onto Fortress, especially if we'd predicted and gotten the Flamethrower off on it. Could have been a lot different, but yeah, in the end, go down, narrow 1-0 victory. I will say, you know, as much as I've complained a little bit about the hacks in the middle of the game, Milotic Marolt did play this really well. Like, after he probably would have been quite shaken in the early game after I've taken down 2 of his big special offensive threats. But to then, like, whittle away at my team and bring that back, and sure, like, it was somewhat contingent on hacks, but the fact is that he outplayed me, certainly for large portions of the second half of that game. And yeah, we just weren't able to sort of keep up our momentum and keep making good plays throughout the game. So yeah, GG to the Slovenia Slowbros. Unfortunately, that puts us at 2-1, with obviously 1-1 plus a forfeit. Like, you know, obviously forfeit's good for, you know, differential and stuff and like making playoffs, but like, I'm 1-1, I consider, in terms of how I feel about how I'm going in the league. But I am still feeling pretty good about the team. I feel like we mostly, whilst we kind of mispredicted with our squad in this game, we still were able to deal with a lot of his threats. We just weren't necessarily able to deal with them to the extent that we wanted to, which is to say, being able to deal with them regardless of hacks. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but that's all good. That's the game. So hopefully we'll be able to make a comeback next week. So until next time, later.